All right, guys, and welcome back. I'm going to talk to you guys about how to get the best deals on Volkswagen parts. Well, firstly, you need to understand how it works. How Volkswagen stuff is way different than most parts places you go to. There can be very, very little markup on some of it. And to know how it works, the best thing you need to know is there's about a dozen or so people who either import or manufacture and import parts. One of those, again, is is Wolfsburg West. Wolfsburg West is a large manufacturer of parts. And so if you look on their website and it says made by Wolfsburg West, that's probably going to be the cheapest place to get it. Their wholesale prices can be very, very little discount. Okay, so there's them, and there's also Eddy and Daves Garage. I'll put the link in there below for Eddy or a phone number. Eddy can usually do the stuff the same price as Wolfsburg West, plus there's other parts. There's some parts that they have on their website, for instance, that says, they say made by Wolfsburg West, and those are the ones that, again, you're going to get through one of those two about the best price. And then there's ones that say, that don't say they're made by Wolfsburg West, and those usually they get from other places. Like there's a place called Pacific International. I think I've got something here with a Pacific sticker on it. You always see that with that. Here it goes. Pacific. Okay. This is a wholesale only place. They've been around for years and years. And a lot of things they directly import. And a lot of things they don't directly import. So if you get it from the direct importer, you're always going to find to get the best negotiable price. And or through one of these other places. Carcraft in Riverside always can do really well on Empi parts, on parts for that are engine parts. You're gonna probably get the best prices on all those things through them. They have a very low markup, and they bring in AA stuff. Unless you have a wholesale account at AA, you're probably going to get a better price going right through Carcraft. Eddy and Daves Garage also has the AA parts. You can get those as well if you're in Orange County, a little convenience thing. So that's a little bit how it works. So some of the places that are direct importers are like places like IAP. I'm trying to think of the other bigger ones. Again, Pacific is one of them. AA is a direct importer. Like they're a direct importer of Autolinea, but there's a few different ones. I think Empi is a direct importer of Autolinea. And I believe CB Performance gets their stuff directly from them too. So there's even more, okay? So the whole thing is try to find the direct importer for the part. And then from there, what I do is, for instance, I know that Autolinea is a direct importer, or AA is a direct importer for Autolinea. Autolinea does a lot of business with Carcraft. So Carcraft is going to buy at a good discount from AA, and they have a very low markup. So that's kind of how that they have some of the lowest prices. So like these engine tin right here are all AA. These are made by AA. So they get, so Carcraft is going to have a great price on those. And the fan, I think, is all that stuff is all manufactured in China by AA's people. So the Empi stuff, unless you have a buddy with an Empi account, you're not going to be able to get a deal on those. But Carcraft and Eddy and Daves Garage both have Empi accounts, and they both have very low markup. So there's those guys. Now, and some of the parts that come from Europe, we'll talk about those a little bit. So like a lot of parts that come through Europe are things that go through BBT. And you guys that are over there probably have an advantage buying stuff through BBT. But over here, for instance, the Carcraft, or for instance, Wolfsburg West will sell some BBT parts, and their markup on that, it goes, and they go through, whatever the tariffs are and all that stuff to go to the U.S. And apparently, I think they're higher or something in there because their cost for parts is higher than even going through California import parts, which is in Canada. So SIP1 can have really good pricing for stuff made by BBT. For instance, these here are made by BBT, and at Wolfsburg West, they were $100 more than at SIP1. Okay, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I think it's got something to do with the Commonwealth agreement. And Canada's a Commonwealth country. Maybe they have a Commonwealth agreement with Belgium. I don't know how that works. Okay, I'm not a politician. I don't know how all that crap works. Whatever, but I think it's got something to do with that. So Canada is able to get some parts that are European made for a better price than even somebody in the U.S. can. So some parts that are not manufactured by Wolfsburg West and not manufactured by the importers down here like AA and stuff like that, they will be way cheaper through California import parts than anywhere. So you always got to check. The key thing to do is when you're looking at parts, you can look online, and a lot of them tell you on their websites, made by Wolfsburg West, or made by whatever, BBT, or made by our own branding, or made by, like the stuff at AA, it says right on their website, made by AA. If you know it's made by AA, Carcraft, or Eddy and Daves Garage are going to give you the best price, pretty much. You can really save money by doing that if you're in Southern California and you don't have to pay for shipping. Now, sometimes when you're paying for shipping, you guys that have to pay for that, sometimes, even for me, let's say if I was buying this and it was under $100 and it was on California import, SIP1, okay, and if I bought 3 different items, okay, by the time it's shipped and it was over $100 and it meets that free shipping thing, then sometimes it's even cheaper for me with a wholesale account to buy stuff through SIP1. Okay, so sometimes that works out. So I'll look at the brands and then I'll figure out, okay, I know that BBT stuff is going to be way cheaper through SIP1. I'll check around and yeah, it's way cheaper. And then I'll order, say, these things, and I'll order a couple of other items that maybe they manufacture, because they have a few things I think that they manufacture, but I don't think that they really do. I think it's mostly they're just a reseller. Like Carcraft is a reseller, J-Bugs is a reseller, and their cost, the margin in there is very slim. So if somebody goes, well, it's way cheaper over at J-Bugs than it is at Carcraft, and I'm like, is it the same? Like for instance, on the bus, I was buying a steering wheel. Okay. So the guy was originally was buying this one at a black steering wheel. And I said, well, look, you don't want to get, it has to be a flat 4, because the flat 4s are not flimsy. Okay. Some of the ones you'll get are like rubber. You push this down and these things just are made like rubber. And he goes, well, on J-Bug's website, they sell, and I forget the brand because I just don't buy them. But he goes, on J-Bug's website, they got them for, $220 or whatever. And I ended up getting a really good deal on this one. But I was like, dude, those are like, you don't want that steering wheel. It's not gonna, you're not gonna be happy with it, because it's just, it's just not gonna last, and it's like made out of rubber. It's like they don't put enough support in here or whatever. I don't know, but they're terribly made. And so another flat 4 makes this one. Okay, and these are good quality. These are near OEM quality. But the horn buttons from flat 4 are like $100, and then they have that same other brand that makes these steering wheels, and these horn buttons here are a lot cheaper, and they're okay. They're not as good a quality as the flat forb ones are, but they're okay. And so, I put the two together here to make it a little less expensive. And what I'm saying to say is, you got to look at the manufacturer of the part and know that you're comparing apples to apples, because a lot of times you'll think, oh wow, this is cheaper, and then you'll get it and it's not the same. It's the quality is not there. So if you look at the manufacturers, always try and look at the manufacturer of the part and make sure you're getting the same thing. Because if you get a crappy quality one, like I said, there's only a few different manufacturers. You might say, well, like a guy goes to me, he goes, well, I get the gas gauges from, what was that other? Wolfsburg West imports these, but there's also somebody else who does it. Okay. And they make these aftermarket gas gauges that look like original. Okay. I'm trying to think it is, not IAP. It's I something, whatever. But there's another company that makes them, and don't ask me how I know this, but they're made on the same order. Okay. And the guy goes, well, they're better quality. They're better quality from this other place. I'm like, no, they're actually, they run them on the same run. A lot of this stuff happens like this. A lot of stuff's made on the same run, and it's the exact same gas gauge, but they have their name stamped on it, and Wolfsburg West has their name stamped on it, and the one will say made by Wolfsburg West, and another one says made by the other company, and they're the same. They're exactly the same. They're made by the same people, probably made on the same run, came on the same, might even came on the same containers, So a lot of this stuff in the VW world, because it's so small, it's not that big. A lot of different people go in on a container, and they'll bring a container over because it saves them money to do that. They all know each other. It's like, so, I have to be careful too when I'm making these videos, because, people go, oh, you're stepping on people's toes. I'm not stepping on anyone's toes anyway. I'm just trying to give you guys a little bit of a idea of how it works. And so I get people go, oh, I can get a deal. There's no such thing as a deal in this stuff. There just isn't. Everything comes from the same places. And, unfortunately, I really don't know who makes all the money on it, but because it seems like, the prices of stuff is just ridiculous. I don't understand. People go, oh, well, there's less Volkswagens than there are Mustangs. I'm like, really? I think there's a lot more Volkswagens than Mustangs. And, Mustang parts are way, 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 way cheaper than Volkswagen, and they're way better quality. It's like, CJ Pony parts or whatever. You get stuff from them, and it's half the price of a Volkswagen part, and the quality's like 100 times better. So it's like, yeah, right. So I don't know how that part works. Okay. But all I know is this, is if you're looking for parts, engine parts, I always go to CarCraft. They're going to be my number one place. They're always cheaper. I don't care. I've looked every time, and they're always cheap. For restoration parts, I go to Eddy and Daves Garage, and yeah, he marks them up because he's got to do it, but it's usually pretty reasonable. And then he also gets some used stuff. Like I might need a used part, and I'll go to the swap meet, get skunked, and I'm like, oh, I need this part used. They don't make it new or whatever, and he'll have one, and his price is pretty reasonable. It's never like way high or anything. Like some of the guys, there used to be a guy, and I'm not gonna say who it is, but the guy was the guy in Ventura who always had the highest price. Always, his prices were just ridiculously high on everything. And he's no longer around, but you always see him on the Samba wanting gold prices. So Eddie's not one of those guys. And there's one more place I don't know why I didn't mention it, because I get tons of stuff from him, but is Koch's, they call them, but I think it's really called Koch's. Koch's Volkswagen parts. It's a German name, Koch, Koch. But anyway, Koch's, Cokes, whatever you want to say. He's got a lot of those restoration parts, and a good time to catch him is at the events. And if you ever come to an event, bring cash with you and go to Cokes and see what he's got. Like he's always at Pomona, I think almost every time. He's I think every time I've always seen him at Octo. So even if you don't have a bus, going to Octo, it's cheap to get in. They always have a huge swap meet. Swap meets can be the best place really to get parts, get used stuff. Sometimes you'll get something really reasonable. Sometimes you'll have people that just want gold for stuff. But if you weed through them, you find the stuff that you want. Some guys getting rid of it. Used parts are definitely, go to the swap meets. Come out to California if you live out of state. Go to Octo is a huge thing to go to. If you can, try and do the summer Octo and then a couple of events before and after that, and stay for a little while, and go to the different swap meets. And those are, and make sure you can get it all home. But those are going to be your best ways. And then, like I said, Cokes will have a ton of stuff at his trailer. I mean, some stuff there is really, really reasonable. And some of it he gets directly, and some of it he pieces the different things he gets together from. He knows who the importers are, so he'll get one piece imported from this importer, and the lenses he'll get from this other importer, and he'll put together a turn signal set that's really reasonable. I just kind of give you guys ideas. Some of that stuff he has, just you can't even beat his pricing at all. So for restoration stuff, engines, Carcraft, restoration parts, sheet metal, look at it, see if it says it's made at Wolfsburg West. And if it's made at Wolfsburg West, it's going to be the best price there. If it's black, Clocker Home, there's a lot of different places that import that. I'm trying to think, but I think Empi bought, I'm not sure. They bought one of those companies, the Danish thing, Dansk. I know they bought them. So Dansk is now part of Empi Group or whatever. So I don't know. So all that stuff. But if you look at the name, figure out who makes it, then you're going to know where the best place to buy it is usually. And like I said, the other things are these the vendors with low markup, like Eddy and Daves Garage, Carcraft, sometimes J-Bugs. I mean, J-Bugs can have really good prices on seat belts. I mean, I don't know, maybe they're a direct importer of those things. Everybody's got their little niche, you guys. So look at their websites, see what you find, and then, call people, text Eddie, see if we can do the same thing. A lot of times they can. Sometimes they can't. I mean, any BBT parts, remember, it comes through, if it goes through Canada first, it's got some deal that it's just way cheaper for them. So, and if you're looking for BBT fenders and stuff like that, BBT bug fenders, or maybe bus floors and stuff like that, go to a guy. His name is Lind, Lind. Lind VW. You just look up Lind VW on Instagram. Hit him up through Instagram. See if he has a container coming with what you're looking for, because he brings in container loads of BBT stuff and sells it. I mean, reasonable, really reasonable compared to what the parts suppliers are. So there's always that. So if you're looking for like sheet metal stuff from BBT, check Lind. I don't know what his Instagram is. Maybe I'll look it up and I'll put it in the description so you can get a hold of him. In fact, I do have it here. It's the letter Z, VW Bus at yahoo.com. That's Lind's email. You can always hit him up, see what he's got coming. And you're going to have to pick that up directly. He's not shipping any of that stuff. So he's at like I believe he will be at a lot of he'll let you know, but a lot of times he'll be at the summer Octo or something like that, and you can pick up a bunch of stuff, have them, pre-order it, pay for it, and whatever, and pick it up there, and that works out really good. And so you can get some high quality, excellent fenders. I remember he was selling a pair of fenders for what other people were selling one for, so basically half the price. So I hope that helps you guys save some money. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff comes through California, and we have high minimum wage and a lot of crap going on that makes things really expensive here. So most of the stuff does come through California, and that's a big problem. And I know that some of you guys are trying to figure it out. So anyway, I hope that helps you. I'll talk to the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.